Hey gang, let's draw some trains today, shall we? Like all good things, we're going to start with a nice big rectangle. And we're going to trace over it, make sure it's nice and dark. There we go. And we'll add a cab, someplace for the engineer to hang out. Smokestack. And we'll divide the cab up, add some windows. Clean up there. Add a boiler. And a little stick. I think he intended that to have a bell on it at some point. All right, now we'll add the wheels, nice big ones in the front. You can put as many wheels as will fit. And in the front, of course, you got to have a cow catcher, catch the cows. Going down the tracks, there's a cow on the track. You got to have something to nudge the cow out of the way. We'll put these little bitty wheels back here. And your engineer. Not your software engineer that you normally run into today. Give him a little engineer hat. And yes, I'll expend all of the ink necessary to go ahead and fill that in. Much as it pains me, look at all that ink. No, no. They just put little crosses in the wheels and then turn them slightly from one another so they don't look like they're all kind of sitting in one place. And I'll fill it in a little more. All right. Now, we're going to add a coal car. I think this is a coal tender. Let me start with a smaller rectangle. And put those little wheels on it. Now for the flanges, we're going to add little triangles. I like that because it's easier to get them symmetrical when you draw them individually that way. We'll fill that all in. Yes, you're a pain in the cat. There we go. And what have we here? We got the coal that goes into the tender. That's why they call it a coal tender. We fill full of coal. I don't know why they call it tender, because it's neither money nor is it particularly soft and chewy. But it is a place to tend your coal, I suppose. Now, after you draw the train, then you draw the track. It's a lot easier to get the train on the track if you draw the train first. Doesn't always work that way in real life, but we'll take advantage of the opportunity here. I know you've probably had all the smelly smoke that you want, but smelly smoke is a big part of having a coal burning train. So it's going to put out a big, actually black cloud, but we'll just draw a white one. We'll pretend it was mostly steam. Okay. Now once you have an engine and you got a coal tender, you got to have some sort of car to pull behind the train. We'll do a basic box car here. Let's start with the basic box. And just put those little bitty wheels on it. Put them in the back and then put them in the front. And we'll divide it up as if it has sliding doors on the side. And let's see, we have to add a brake. It's just a wheel that you put on top, you tighten it down, and that'll stop the particular car. Now we're going to change it so that the door is actually open. The perfect crime. All right, then we've got something to pull the train, and we have something on the train to be pulled. What we need now is a caboose. Caboose is the last car you put on a train. Caboose is where the engineer, the conductor, and perhaps a Gandhi dancer would all huddle up. They could sleep in it. They could cook a meal. It's a little house that they pulled at the back of the train everywhere they went. Because back in the day, there wasn't necessarily a hotel in every city, not necessarily a place for people to sleep. So they had to take it with them. They were pioneer days, rough and tumble life on the prairie. Yeah, they were about 100 years before my time, so if you're thinking that I remember them, you are sorely mistaken. Although, I did know my great-grandfather. My great-grandfather was born in 1880, and I was born in 1959. So when he was 85 years old, I was able to talk with him. He was actually alive when there were cowboys on the range. Same time as Wyatt Earp and Wild Bill Hickok. He was a Texan. He was a rancher. Well, he used to tell me some stories about what it was like in the Old West. But I only know the New West and the real West. Texas never struck me as being the West. It seems to me that it's about the middle of the country. But that's a Californian attitude, I suppose. There we go. So if I do one stripe at a time, it kind of looks like a wooden building. I always like that effect when I'm using these markers. And it's like a little house, so you have a little window on it. I guess with red drapes in this case. That's got the same little wheels, just like we saw on the other cars. And inside there's going to be a stove, so you have to have a stovepipe coming out the top. So this isn't an engine, it's not something that's going to drive it, but just a little stove they can use for heat and cooking. Now you can also have a trolley car. This wouldn't attach to a train, but this is one that you might see on the street. They have trolleys down at Disneyland. Sort of like a cable car that you see up in San Francisco. No, this line is in the wrong place. I need a little thinner or a little thicker, but not right there. There we go. And we'll divide that up so it has windows. So the trolley car, it's got doors that are always open, so you can just step onto it. We'll separate those. Then I'll use the stripes again so it looks like slats of wood. And here comes the cat, stupid cat. This cat's name is Gallifrey. I didn't name him. And your trolley car has got tiny little cow catchers in the front and the back. I guess they're cat catchers, because cats are annoying on the street just as they are when I'm trying to do a drawing lesson. I'll put a couple of little triangles and you'll get a nice symmetrical roof on top. And I'll waste all my blue ink filling this in, making it pretty just for you. And we'll switch colors. Put some people in there. Now don't try this at home. You shouldn't be standing in the door while the train is moving. But some people like to live dangerously. And you'll have a driver up in the front. Usually they don't sit. Usually they're standing in a trolley. And there's our trolley car. Again, you can add the tracks after you've drawn the car. How can we put this all together? Well, I think I'll draw a train. So I'll start with an engine there at the far end. And of course, you've always got to have a coal tender right behind it. Doesn't do any good to put it at the back of the train, right? Yeah, there we go. Got to have the coal right there so you can shovel it on in. Now I'm going to add a cattle car. So it's like a box car, but it's got this funky door with the 3 diagonal lines on it there. And we'll add a passenger car. That's a lot like the passenger cars still look today. They could be very opulent back in the 1800s, depending on whether you were in first, second, or third class. I usually travel fourth class. I run along behind the train, and every so often they'll throw peanuts at me. And of course the caboose, where our dandy dancer can sleep. And of course it's not railroad tracks if you don't add ties. I like a job where I wear a tie. I like Thai food. And I like railroad ties as well. That's the wooden supports that you put between the rails. We'll add some grass in the foreground, some purple mountains majesty in the background. Maybe dot some flowers in there. Just whatever you think it takes to make a pleasant little background. And this is my finished picture. I'd like for you to send me a copy of your finished pictures. And if you do, I will use them in a future video. Send them along.